All in favor, please say aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, council. Item 8E, discuss and consider ordinance number 2022-1101, granting the Medina Electric Cooperative Inc. a franchise for the operation of lines and for the sale of electrical lights and power within the certain areas of the city of Pearsall. This is an action item. I'm going to call for a motion. Motion by Councilman Leal, second. Second by Councilwoman Hernandez. With this, I'm going to open the floor to our city manager.
Mayor and Council, actually, this is what you should have on you is a revised draft of this franchise agreement. We forgot one item. Bobby helped us draft this, and one item was excluded or left off with the one you have in your packet, and that, basically what this is a franchise agreement we have with Medina Electric, and our current agreement with them is expired. It's been expired for several years. They actually brought it to our attention. And so what we're asking for is approval of this ordinance, extending this franchise agreement to December 31st, 2042. So it's a 30-year agreement. It's it also it's retroactive to the expiration of the existing ordinance, which is December 30th, 2009 is when it expired. So it's something whenever, basically what we have to do on this is approve this and we'll send this back to them. So anybody that uses our right of ways, which includes Medina Electric, they agree to pay a franchise fee, and it's something that we should have an ordinance on, a current ordinance. This brings up to being current. And the rate they pay up to us is 5%. That's on section 5 of the agreement. If you have any questions, we're more happy to answer, but this is just an agreement we'd like to conclude that they continue to collect these franchise fees.
This is pretty up and down, council. Is there any other questions on that? Okay, we have our motion and our second. Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to item 8F. Discussion and consider resolution number 2022-1101, appointing a city council member to serve on the Frio County Appraisal District Board of Directors. This is an action item. I'll call for a motion. Motion by Councilman Leal, a second. Second by Councilwoman Hernandez. Okay. City Manager, I understand that Councilwoman Hernandez has served on behalf of the council. There is no term limit, so Councilwoman Hernandez, would you care to continue to serve? Okay.
I'll make a motion to appoint Councilwoman.
Okay, well, we got it. Okay. In that, we've got a motion but we're gonna go ahead and do that. We'll take a motion to appoint Councilwoman Hernandez. There's a motion by Councilman Leal. There's a second by Councilman Gondeta. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. With that being said, she's been, do I need to have another motion?
The motion was to bring it up.
We appointed, that's one thing.
Appointing the council member.
I think you're fine with what you did.
Okay. Congratulations, Councilwoman Hernandez, and thank you for your service. It does take time, but it's really informational, and we're glad you're there. So thank you. Thank you for your willingness to serve. Okay, moving on to item 8G, discuss and consider resolution number 2022-1102.
Sorry? It's a resolution.
Okay, gotcha. Forgive me. This is a resolution, not ordinance. Discuss and consider resolution number 2022-1102, approving the service provider agreement between Frio County Emergency Service District 1 and the City of Pearsall for the provisions of emergency protection and other services. This is an action item. Call for a motion. Motion by Councilwoman Hernandez. May I have a second? May I have a second?
Second.
A second by Councilman Gondeta. With this, I'm going to turn the floor over to the city manager.
Mayor, council, on this item, this is a yearly agreement we vote on every year. And so the beginning period for this is October 1st, 2022. And in consideration, the ESD provides the city of Pearsall $125,000 to operate the volunteer fire department. You can see that payment on section 5, page 21. And there are some other requirements that we have to conduct, but again, this is just a yearly agreement that we sign, and we've been doing this, I guess, with the ESD ever since its existence, is my understanding. So we're asking for approval of this item, to get it back to the ESD, for these funds to keep the volunteer fire department going.
Council, is there any questions? This, of course, is a taxing entity. I believe it provides $125,000 to our fire department, through their funds, as well as the other departments in the county. Been in place a number of times, so pretty, again, up and down vote. Any other questions?
I do have a question in regards to the $125,000, of course, happy for the city of Pearsall to receive that, but, as we know, Moore, Daly, and Bakersfield receive the same amount as well. When can we actually approach, like, the ESD, and maybe even confer, with them about, 'cause I think we have a bigger coverage. I haven't seen their, what kind of calls they get and stuff, we got a broader base, and, I think we got more taxpayers as well.
Councilman, that's a great question. I did attend an ESD meeting, last summer, and, kind of saw the apportionment for her, and actually, I think it don't, tell me this, but if I believe it's right, Moore probably does more calls because of their I-35. We're on I-35, Billy's on I-35, but they do a large amount of calls. But it is it's a fairly good question, to look at the different, number of calls, number of services, number of units that they have, so on and so forth, and that would be something that they would, we could certainly send them a letter or a recommendation to provide for us, the appropriations of the different funds. It was.
I know they have a broader, coverage area, but versus calls and stuff, and of course, sometimes we have a bigger need because our equipment's getting older, while they have newer, fire trucks as well. So I'm just saying, like, that we can reach out to them, at a yearly basis, and could we get a little bit more,
I think we could, Mayor brings up a good point, maybe just, as easy as maybe writing a letter, to them, and attending one of their meetings and saying, just give us I'm sure the ESD, and I don't know all the history, but they had the reasons why they separated the funds the way they did.
Sure.
But just to see if they maybe want to reconsider how they distribute the funds, maybe that should be the point of the letter. And see if we can figure something out.
Thank you, Councilman Leal.
I know that a while back when we actually went into this agreement, when it first started a few years back, we had that discussion, and what they did, ESD did, is, if I'm not mistaken, our coverage area shrunk versus the other, districts, or whatever we wanna call them, started covering more area because we had that argument of, as far as funds. Now, if we wanna revisit it, then we can revisit it and see if maybe we can squeeze some more out of there, but I remember, or I recall, that's how we came about that.
Always good to look at the data, but I think, Chief, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe Pearsall Fire Department goes out to Pearsall.
No, we actually had the coverage map, I don't.
Page 31 of the packet has the coverage map.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, but the coverage map, yes. But I think like,
There you go.
God is saying,
Yes, there's a little legend on the end as well.
So that's our
Yeah, so
coverage.
you can see the different areas that, Moore has, Bigfoot has, and Dilly has. So fuel expense in and of itself.
Right.
And we, as you guys recall, we bought the, fire department a new truck, not a new truck, but a used truck last year, which they're grateful for. And it was very much in need. All right, any other questions, council? With that, we have a motion and second on the table. I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Everybody, or aye or hand. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item 8H, discuss and consider entering into a regional mutual aid agreement with Alamo Area Council of Governments for emergency purposes. This is an action item. I'll call for a vote. Motion, please. Motion by Councilman Leal. May I have a second? Second by Councilwoman Garza. City Manager, the floor is yours.
Mayor, Council, on page 32 of your agenda, this is a fairly lengthy mutual aid agreement, but it's a good one, actually. This came to us from the ACOG, And one of the things that's a bit surprising, I think the mayor also has been, an advocate of this as far as emergency planning. Several have, but ACOG, did provide us this mutual aid agreement. We don't have one with them currently, is my understanding. And so what this is allowing us to enter in this agreement and ask for aid as we need it. Hopefully, we don't need, any help with emergencies anytime soon, but this is what we'd be agreeing to. So this lays a framework for that, to receive aid from the surrounding communities that participate in this mutual aid agreement in case of an emergency ever happens. And so I think it's a good agreement. It's in our interest to sign off on this, and hopefully, again, if we ever need help or assistance from other communities, it will be advantageous for us to have this in place. There is a last item on the point of contacts, and this is something we talked about just a little earlier. When there's emergencies that, let's say, Lord forbid, you have some sort of natural disaster, tornado, something like that, point of contacts is gonna be the police chief, will be a point of contact for emergency or initial response to this. And so we're gonna get a little more involved with ACOG, and so they can understand, who they need to contact in case of an emergency, who we need to contact in case we ever need help. So I think, point of contact will be the police chief, and I think the alternate, I don't remember who. Yes, the public works director will be the alternate. Most of the time, whenever these accidents or these catastrophes happen, the ones that are really needed is, not that others aren't, but it's PD and public works. So those are the ones that really need to be on the phones, and of course, we'll all be, right, if something like that would ever happen. These will be our point of contacts as it relates to this agreement.
Council, I want to kind of second his comment. If we had our workshop last year on the pillars that the city wanted to accomplish, was emergency preparedness was one of those. And so this is another piece of the pie that could help us in the event of something really tragic or desperate happening. And I strongly encourage you to support this, along with, I think, last month or the month before, we did the generators mutual aid agreement, which is just good to have. In the middle, we had that disaster drill in April, and the things that can happen, it's just really good to have people that have those kind of whole departments, that's nothing but what they do. So I would strongly recommend that we support this, and it helps strengthen our community. And, they're kind of the big dog, we're kind of the little dog, so to speak, and so they could ask us to help somebody else, but in the same way, it would be going to help a neighbor that's hurting, that needs some help, if ever we could provide that. So it's important that we understand it could be both ways. I think it's way more beneficial for us if they have a whole department that works on it. So with that being said, council, do you have any other questions? If not, we've had a motion and a second. I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor of item 8H, please say aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to item 8I, discuss and consider the demolition and removal of dilapidated playground equipment from the Marino Park and the Victor Sabina Sports Complex. This is an action item. I'm going to call for a motion and a second. Motion by Councilman Leal. May I have a second? Second by Councilman Gondeta. At this point, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Otero. And if you will turn to page, it's got some
45, it's page 45 of your packet, is where it begins.
Mayor, Council, good evening. I've gotten several companies in here. Some of them were from playground equipment company to give us an inspection. I think we had maybe 2 or 3 of them. But the last one that we hired was called Meyer Inspection. All the other companies came down to the final inspection that we have difficulties with. There's several difficulties far from the mulch all the way up to the actual playground equipment. The last one that we got, like I said, Meyer Inspection Company, he did his final summary, just sent it to me over the weekend, and we failed in every case. So, he recommended that we go ahead and fence it and keep it away from the public, but, that's impossible. I can't do that. Eventually, we're gonna have to open the one at Patinia Park, for the splash pad. And in Moreno Park, there's no way that we can fence it. So, that was up to us. He said, it's your judgment, see what you guys wanna do with it. So my recommendation was to, remove them.
Yeah, Councilwoman Hernandez.
Ago were these, playgrounds installed?
If I'm not mistaken, I think the one at the complex was installed 1999, and the one in Moreno about 2021.
2021.
I mean,
2,000?
2001, I'm sorry.
Oh, 2001. And they had never been inspected back then?
We do I do the inspections every year.
Are we planning,
Excuse me?
Councilor Leal.
are we planning to use something other than mulch?
Basically, right now, that's all we can afford, we'll just do the mulch.
It has to be what, about 12 inches or
Yes, around there,
it's 18 inches?
yes.
All the way around.
So that, when will the demolition start?
Demolition will probably start as soon as we're done with the tournaments. I think we're looking at, last one is gonna be December 11th. So after that, we'll start on construction.
How much mulch would you anticipate using at one of the locations?
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say because we've normally, ordered just for the playground. Now they're requiring that we do the swings with borders and all that, so it'll be hard. I'll need to calculate it.
But I got 10 yards of mulch I'll give you. If it can be done.
If you guys get a chance to look, I mean, he's got quite a comprehensive, photo gallery here of the problems and the issues, and I think it's really much more substantial than just the mold.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
the actual structure of
Exactly.
the equipment and some protruding concrete blocks. and
Exactly.
things, so it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, one of the biggest ones there would be the ADA access, so.
Yes. And like I said, the one we got at the complex, we really needed that one because we get a lot of use out of that when we have the tournaments and the public when they go out there and utilize the jogging trails. So that's gonna be greatly missed.
Council, what we did, and I'll just say that Moran has done a good job of trying to get as many, folks that are not, necessarily employees of the city to look at this. And so what we try to do is get somebody that doesn't sell playground equipment, just trying to sell us something. Say, hey, yeah, you need new equipment, so this gentleman, Mr. Meyer, doesn't sell playground equipment, we just asked him, hey, give us your overall opinion of what you think of this playground, and that's what Randy tried to accomplish by doing this, and so that's what we're recommending on the council, and we are, I think if this is demolished, we do need to find some funding somehow to improve that area. I don't know that the council, I don't know that we want to not have any playgrounds in any part, or these two parks, I guess is what
I have another question.
Councilman?
This is not including Patiño, right?
No,
Oh, okay, I
it's
was
just
just saying.
Moreno and,
And just the complex and Moreno?
yes.
Okay, all right.
So, Palatino will be our only park with playground.
Yes, sir.
Inside the city, they still have Fireman's Park, which is the county,
That's
but
correct.
those are the only two. And so, have we looked at just, estimating what it would take to replace the?
The one we were looking at was about, to do the both parks, we're looking at about 147,000.
So, Councilman Trevino.
Mr. Reyes, what information did we bring back from TML on those vendors? Was it there something?
There's some, we looked at some of the different parks, and I think what we were getting at, and maybe what we can do, council, at this point, I think some of the vendors actually agreed to provide a design, some design work. I think they said they could do that for free, if I'm not mistaken. And then what we would like to do on, at least on my end is hopefully, we probably need to do something in the immediate, to be quite frank. But incorporate some of these designs into an overall concept of what we want some of these parks to look like. And with that, I know that we talked about it briefly, but the park master plan should help us with that, to apply for funding, for state funding, and there's some ideas and suggestions to apply for federal funds as well. So I think if we do that, I think from our standpoint is we do need to probably do something, this fiscal year to, I don't know about $147,000 worth, but we need to do something to at least, put something for the kids to enjoy, right? Right now, we don't have any money in the budget for $147,000, for park